David, this week we are here to review the Lexus
LX500d.
A lot of people, David, know the Toyota version of this, which of course is the Land Cruiser.
Which sells in big numbers.
300 series. There's only, you were saying, 1,000 of these or so sold last year?
It's had a great year compared to the year before.
Yeah.
It's up 3.5 times, but it's still under 1,000 sales for this model.
Well, possibly a lot of that is the fact that this is considerably more expensive. The starting price for these is the finishing price just about of the Saharas.
And that's quite a jump for
Yeah.
what is something based on a very similar product.
Yeah, it's what, 150,000-ish to nearly...
To get it on the road, it would be around 150, and it goes all the way up to 235 to nearly 240,000.
A lot of money. I mean, that's Range Rover territory. But of course, it's got Range Rover performance. You can even option wheels up to 22-inch.
Yes, which clearly says this is not for off-roading.
The front of this, I think, is somewhat challenging. It's not quite as handsome as the Land Cruiser, if you could call the Land Cruiser
Very
handsome.
bull nose, isn't it?
But you're not going to miss the fact that it's a Lexus, that's for sure.
This is not the base model, so this is a more protruding silver grille. I think there are some that the base model is more black and looks more indented.
Could have done without it. It's a little too big. It looks like the grill's trying to eat the car, but let's have a look at it from the side. We've got a couple of engine options in the LX, and as we said, this one is the 500d, David, which is a twin turbo diesel. 227
kilowatts and a massive 700 Newton meters of torque.
Really feel off the mark. It really gets you going. The Petrol, David, the 600, what's that? 305
kilowatts and still pretty impressive, 650 Newton meters.
And again, that's a twin turbo V6 petrol. That's just astounding figures. I'm glad to see that Lexus actually has a diesel option, something that for a long time was lacking. And there's no way that you would have bought the V8 version of this in petrol. That's why they sold next to none of them.
Really, used a lot of fuel.
Yeah, but this feels limousine-esque in an off-roading kind of way. There's a step there for, should you pretend that you want to go off-road. But look at the length of this back door. That's enormous. And of course, this comes as a 4, 5 or 7-seat car. This one is a 7-seat with an electric third row, which we will have a look at now. Of course, it's got all the full electrical things, electric seats, electric tailgate, and it's a smart... It's so
smart,
hard to get good help.
It's smart, but I had trouble.
The problem is with the third row up, there's not a whole lot of space back here. That really is space challenged. And you can see here with the other side down, there's enough room for the bag and so forth. Now inside there's a third row of vents on the pillars and up on the roof. There's some power outlets.
It has 171 litres, they say. There's space in the back with the seats up, but I would think that even a small hatchback would be embarrassed by that figure.
I agree, but a small hatchback does not have a 100-watt electrical outlet and electric back seats. Look at that, wacky-doo. And that will fold all the way down. And with those seats fully down, it really is quite a large space. And you'll notice the seats go down 40, 40, 20, which is an awful lot of space once they're folded down.
Oh, yeah.
Now the back seat is
it's tall.
It's very spacious. The thing is that, of course, the front seat slid back when I got out of the car. But we do have a couple of extra rows here of air conditioning and another couple of USB ports and a couple of vents. David, this is very limo-esque in the back. You've even got some cup holders there in the centre armrest. Bloody hell. Who put this on 24? Is that you? Did you put that on 24?
Yes, I did. It was very cold when I got in it. And I'm such a sensitive soul.
Oh, God almighty. We've got a A small part digital dash, David. Heads-up display.
Yes.
Is that nice and wide?
Wide.
Lovely.
Good information.
No cooled seats in this, which is a bit of a worry. This dashboard is very impressive. I mean, it's properly Lexus. Lovely wide screen at the top. A secondary screen below for ancillary stuff, the climate control and car data. You can also raise and lower this car. It's got that those details there as well. It squats on its suspension. Do you squat on your suspension, David?
Only when necessary.
Well, one would hope. Power seats in the front, a couple of memories over there.
Getting into it the second time, I think, is nice. I think the first time I got into it, I had been used to smaller cars.
Yep.
I still think it's the sort of vehicle that actually tours remarkably well.
Well, out on the open highway just now, you said it was magnificent. I don't think it's too bad, even in corners. And the torque of that twin-turbo diesel is just astounding. It really is astounding. Now, the interior of this, I think, looks very impressive. Certainly much more so than its Toyota counterpart.
It's very strong use of the leather, isn't it?
There's a lot of leather, or at least leather look. There's buttons which I like. It's verging on those busy consoles that we used to have, but I think this is the right amount of buttons. And we've even got a wireless charger back up here. Lovely big wide center armrest. It's unapologetically massive, and I quite like that. But one thing I've noticed that over its Toyota counterpart is it is really quiet in here.
Okay, yes.
I mean, it's really quiet. Like I can't hear anything from outside, not even the suspension noise. We've got a lot of data up here that you would use particularly off-road. I think other than that, you're probably not going to do that much with it.
Yeah.
So now that we're on some not smooth tarmac, you still can't hear any noise. It's just absolutely amazing. You right there, old boy?
Yep. I am getting... Give me a year, I'll be better.
I'm just
I think we can go out there.
Oh. Lovely reversing camera. That's very, very clear.
Hang on, let me just put this over.
And look under, it's got the car as transparent.
Yeah, it remembers the surface area.
Well, that'd be handy if you didn't want to reverse over rocks and what have you. Or worse still, a rock shelf. Now, I noticed climbing in just then, there was a huge difference in height between that and the first time. I'm going to need some help coming out of here.
Clear left. Clear left.
Oh, there's a big old chunk of lassie.
See, this is almost like a tugboat. It's got heaps of power and surges.
There is a four-seater version, and one might argue that it's limousine-esque in its layout. It still doesn't feel quite... I mean, if you were doing a luxury tour of Abu Dhabi, this would be the thing to do it in. It's got a 10-speed automatic gearbox.
Yes.
But it's got that crawl control as well, so it's got all the off-road stuff that the Toyota has. Now I'm coming up here just a tiny touch under the speed limit, so under 80. Well, I was. And this is staying within the lines pretty well. On the highway, David, it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. So I think it does everything that a Lexus should. Does that justify an extra $40,000 to $80,000, do you think? I asked the ex-CEO, Sean Hanley of Lexus, who's now gone back to Toyota, once how many he thought of these, well, the previous model, were actually ever taken off-road. And he said, we've got no data, but if you're asking me to guess, 0.
Yeah, that's...
Which is such a shame because it is at least as capable as a Range Rover and probably more reliable. David, that's all this week for the LX500d, the LX being the big Toyota Land Cruiser sized SUV. I liked it.
Yeah, for what it is, I think it does it very well.
Yeah, but it's come that time, hasn't it?
It has indeed.
To hit like.
And leave a message.
And there to subscribe.